Programming is difficult, but if you keep doing it, it gets easier. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, Programmer for Life, programming for everyone and everything. ArcParse is a very powerful library which offers many powerful features for parsing command line arguments, such as providing help, storing arguments in a variable, automatically converting argument to a specific type such as int or float. These are only some of the features. In this video, we are going to leverage some of the features of ArcParse library to write a code for username and password verification. So let's get started. So let's first see the ls command, which is used to list the files and folders which are in the current directory. Okay, so we can see all the files and folders which are in the current directory. This ls command is very powerful. We can also use the -l option to give the detailed view of the commands, view of the files. So we can see not only the name of file and other details also. Let's try using it with the option --help. This will give the usage of ls command, and also it will give a long list of options. Okay, so where do we see the usage? Usage is the first line. So right, this is the usage, and we can see it is using an option. After that we can specify the file. Okay, file or folder which we want to list the files of. This long list of options are present below that. Okay, it can also be used with a positional argument. So by positional argument I mean I can give a directory name. It will give me the list of files and folders in that directory. So it can be also used with a positional argument, right? Okay, so we can see the list of files in that directory. Now these all advanced features can be used in a custom built command line using the ArcParse library. So now let's write some code for that. Okay, so let's go to our directory by using cd command line python. Okay, and let's create a file which is cmd arcparse tutorial.py. Okay, so cmd arcparse.py. Okay, so let's start by importing the libraries. So we'll import the libraries first. Okay, so let's import the libraries sys and arcparse. Okay, right, so next step is to create our parser. So we'll create our parser here. For creating the parser we will require the function argument parser, instantiating the parser. Okay, so let's create our parser here. So parser equal to arcparse dot argument parser. Now this will take the argument as description. So let's give the description here. Basically it is used to create the parser which will parsing the arguments, which will be passing the arguments which will be on the command line. So let's give the description as username and password verification, because that is the purpose of our command. We're going to develop it for verifying the username and password. Okay, so now we will add the arguments using parser dot add argument. Okay, so parser dot add argument, and then we'll specify our argument inside. Okay, so first argument will be username, so -u. Let's specify the long option also, -uname, and let's specify the help also using help keyword. So we will define the help as specifying the username, specify the username. So you will come to know using this help. Let's copy paste this for the password also. Okay, so let's make the changes for password. So you will change with p, uname will be changed with password, and specify the username instead it will be specify the password. Okay, now we can use one more option here, that is the destination. Let's specify the destination here. Now this destination keyword makes all the difference between get, opt and argparse. It is really convenient because we can save our variable using this destination variable. So our value of argument which we receive is stored in the uname variable, and for corresponding password is stored in the password variable. So it makes really easy. Okay, so now let's parse the arguments using parseargs function. Okay, we will print the arguments later. First we need to parse the arguments. So let's parse the arguments first. So we'll parse the arguments using the function parseargs. Okay, now it don't need any arguments, it doesn't need any arguments, so it will be called by parser. So parser dot parse args will receive our args. After that we can use args dot uname, and yeah, so this was the variable I was talking about in the which we specified in the destination option. So args dot uname and args dot password, we can print them. All right. Okay, so let's execute this program. Okay, so we'll execute it using python cmd argparse.py. So all we get is none and none for username and password if we execute it directly. Now let's use a very cool option of that provided by default by argparse -h that will show the help. So we can see a lot of information. We can see the usage, and we need to specify the username and password. Okay, and also we can see that the arguments that we are specifying more detailed information, specify the username, specify the password. Okay, so also we can see -h we did not write in, we did not program it, we did not write in the program, still we get this for free. For password we can see that specify the password is there, so we get all the information by using -h. It is really good feature of the argparse library. Okay, now next step we will try executing it by using the format specified in the usage. Now let's try to execute it using -u username and -p password. Okay, right, so we get the username and password as it is, right? Okay, so now let's write the code for username and password verification. Okay, so for username and password verification we will need two things. First we will need to declare the correct username and password, and then we will need to check if the username and password we typed in matches the correct username and password or not. Okay, so let's do the first step, declare the correct username and password. Okay, so here let's specify the correct username as Varun. So I will specify my name as correct username, and correct password let's say is 123456. Okay, now let's go to the second step, that is checking for correct username and password. Okay, so I will check if the correct username is equal to args.uname and correct password is equal to args.password. In that case I will print. Okay, I will print that username and password are correct. Username and password are correct. Okay, so if that is not the case I will print username and password are incorrect. Okay, so that's done. Okay, so now let's clear this up and let's try executing the code by using python cmd argparse.py. So we get none none as the output without any arguments. Now let's try giving the username and password. Let's try giving the correct username and password first. So I will give the Yeah, so we get that username and password are correct. All right, now let's try for some incorrect password and some incorrect username. Okay, so let's give ABC as the username and let's give 1234 as the password. All right, so we get username and password are incorrect. So our coding is working fine. Okay, so we have done the username and password verification, but there was a problem. Our password was visible on the terminal, and that's not a good thing. So let's write some code to make this password hidden. Okay. Okay, so now let's remove the sys library first. Okay. And so for making the password hidden, we need to follow the three steps. First step is to import the getPass library. And second step we need to include is an argument we need to include for the password, which will be nargs, and we need to specify it as question mark to make accepting value of password not compulsory. And third is we write a if statement. Okay, third is we write a if statement to check if the password specified is none. If args.password is equal to none, then use getPass to accept the password from console. So args.password is getPass.getPass. So that will accept the password from console in the hidden form. Okay, so this is the third change, right? So all the changes are done. Okay, so now we will execute the file using python cmd argparse.py. Okay, so we'll specify the password as 123456. Username and password are incorrect because I forgot to specify the username. Now let's specify the username as Varun and the password as in the hidden form 123456. So username and password are correct. Good. So now let's specify using the long options. Let's try using long options also. Minus minus uname and minus minus password. Okay. So we will give the password 123456. So this time also username and password are correct. So the program is working correctly. Good. So that brings us to the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it. The code links in the description below. If you have any doubts, any interpretation errors, feel free to post them in the comment section. I will get back to you at the earliest. So goodbye. Until then, see you in the next video.